A new documentary, 7 Days in September, chronicles what life was like for kids in New York after the 9/11 attacks. Let's take a look.
Osama bin Laden, and it hasn't been confirmed yet, but Saddam Hussein has been a suspect in supplying him with the resources and things. So I think, those two should be, quote, brought to justice, unquote.
I have to admit, I am, mad at whoever would do this, but there's nobody, we don't know who, so, we shouldn't blame anybody.
Wow. All right, joining us right now are two of the boys that you just saw that in the film there, Shane Ferrer-Sheehy and Max Rosenbaum. Thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, time has passed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You got your hair all grown out long. We'll start with you. Actually, we'll start with you, Max. Your dad is actually he did this documentary.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about the premise of it.
Well, it's sort of based on the day of September 11th and the following days, and just how, New York, in the face of this horrible tragedy, really came together and united and helped itself heal.
When you're talking to people, what was their reaction? Anger, fear, retaliation? What did you get from people when they talked to you?
We got all of that. There was anger, fear, retaliation. There was sorrow. There was, just this overwhelming sense of, everybody wanted to do something, but, nobody knew what the right thing to do was.
Now, Shane, when you were asked that question, you were the first speaker there.
Yeah.
When you were asked that question, did you have time to think about it, or was that just kind of off the cuff? Because it was pretty articulate and eloquent.
It was just off the cuff. Like I was talking to you before, I just was sitting in the park one day with my dad, trying to get outside and relieve some of the grief, because I had been inside all day sitting watching the news, scared to death. And so I just said whatever came to mind.
I remember, I'm a product of the Cold War, and I can remember, ducking under chairs and stuff for nuclear drills and the like, and living during that time was very scary for a young person. What is life like now for you two with this threat of terrorism looming over our heads on a day-to-day basis?
Well, in the post 9/11 phase that we're in, it's really scary, because every time you see a plane, you think, ooh, is that where it's supposed to be? And there's constantly the terror warning is being elevated, and it all starts to accumulate, and you start to be scared.
Now, just based on your answers there, it seems as though even 3 years ago you both were political, and you had political thoughts. You thought about these types of things. How do you feel these days? And Shane, we'll start with you.
Well, I agree with most of the actions that our country has taken after 9/11. I agree totally with Afghanistan, and not quite as much, but mostly with Iraq. And I think that we're going to have to stay on the offensive for quite a long time, because if we don't, then we'll be playing on defensive, and when you play on defensive with terrorism, all you can do is just wait for something to happen and try to fix it.
And Max, what about you?
I think that the actions we've taken since 9/11 have not been appropriate. I think we've done things that we did not have the right to do. And
for instance,
Afghanistan, Iraq, just going into other countries and destroying them. And yes, I think that whoever, made September 11th happen should be punished, but I don't think that the proper way to do that is destroying entire countries.
Well, you guys represent, I guess, the division that exists now in this country before a major election. Max, both of you, Shane, thank you so much for being a part of us. And your documentary can be seen where now, real quickly?
It can be seen at cameraplanet.com/7 days. You can see
7 Days in September, it's called. It's a DVD released on September 7th. You can just find out more information. We've got a website for you there up on the screen. Thanks, guys, very much.
Thank you
for being here.
Okay.
We'll be right back.